There's a secondary benefit of Inna Fatahna Laka Fatham Mubina. Let me explain. The treaty says that you are not going to fight with us and we are not going to fight with you. But if a Muslim runs away from Mecca, what will we do? Send him back. We'll send him back. And among other disadvantages to the Muslims. Okay. Let me not tell you about the seerah for a second. Let me tell you about international politics. Major governments in the world say we do not negotiate with terrorists. You ever heard this before? Governments say we do not negotiate with terrorists. If you negotiate with them, that means you have accepted that they are legitimate. Yes or no? Because you signed a paper with them, you shook a hand with them, you did a press release with them, you did a treaty with them, which means you think of them as a legitimate government. So if we sign a treaty with them, that is proof that they are legitimate in our eyes. Okay? And now if a government thinks that the group, their enemy is small and they can crush them, they say, we don't need to make a treaty with these people, we can crush them. They're criminal, they're nothing. But if a group becomes powerful, so powerful that you can't just crush them, then you become weak and you have to accept that we have to sign a what? A treaty. The political victory in this ayah is that for the first time, the Quraysh, who up until now, what did they consider the Muslims? They considered the Muslims a cult. They considered the Muslims traitors. You can call them a terrorist group. Back then's language. But now they are signing a treaty with the Muslims, which means the Quraysh have accepted the might and the muscle and the power of the Muslims, and Allah made them accept the power of the Muslims even when the Muslims didn't have weapons in their hands. They did not accept the might of the Muslims in Ahzab. They did not accept the might of the Muslims in Badr, not in Uhud, not in Ahzab, but they accepted the power of the Muslims when Muslims came in Ihram. I need you to understand that. Power is not about weapons. Power is not about weapons. In this ayah, the way we think of when will the kafir understand the power of the Muslim? When will they recognize the power of the Muslim? We have an emotional thought about that. But the seerah and the Quran have such a deeper understanding of this issue. They have such a powerful, it's such a powerful reality that the Quraysh had to sign this treaty. Now all of Arabia, the rest of the tribes, they don't like Quraysh. You remember why they don't like Quraysh? Because they made them go all the way to Ahzab. Now all of Quraysh, all of the tribes see, yo, the Quraysh, they were going to kill the Muslims 6 months ago, and now they're ready to sign a treaty. These Muslims are powerful, man. Yeah, these Muslims are serious. They're even more powerful than who? Than Quraysh. Because the Quraysh were forced to sign a treaty even when the Muslims were not with any weapons. That's crazy, man. That's some crazy tribal politics. And in this time, we have 10 years of peace. 10 years of no fighting. 10 years of no fighting. Guess what? I want you to, have you ever seen the map during election season? They say this party's colored blue, the other party's colored red. Right? So the blue is this big and the red is that big. Right? Now think of it like this. I'll say that we'll give the Quraysh purple. Purple was huge. And the Muslims, white, was very little. It was very little. But especially during Ahzab, during the trench wars, all the tribes were against who? The Muslims. So the purple map was huge and the white map was very small. Now this little tiny white map goes over to the Quraysh and they make them sign a treaty. Now the white has become a little bit bigger. And the rest of the huge purple map has become neutral. Why did they become neutral? Because they don't like Quraysh anymore. So what do the Muslims do during the peacetime? The Muslims go to every one of those tribes and say, hey, you want to stay neutral? Fine. But if you want to side with us, you could side with us too. Because we're big. We got muscle. Look at what we made the Quraysh do. And so some tribes say, nah, you guys are, I'm scared of both of you guys. I don't want nothing. I want to be Switzerland. Okay? And some other tribes say, you know what? Sign me up. And guess what happens in these supposed to be 10 years. It doesn't take 10 years. But in months, the map of the region, the white starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And what's getting smaller? The purple's getting smaller. Poor guys are getting squeezed. And they're so squeezed and they're scared. Because one of the items in the treaty is, if we fight or you fight, if any fighting happens, then the whole thing is cancelled. Then the whole thing is cancelled. So the Quraysh ended up fighting by accident. They didn't mean to do it. They just ended up in a fight and some Muslims got killed. Oh no. If the treaty is gone, then what will the Muslims do? Take over. And now that the white is huge and the purple is tiny, they have no power left. So Abu Sufyan, who's not a Muslim, who's one of the great leaders of Quraysh, has to now come to Medina. He has to come to Medina. Imagine, they used to consider them insects. They considered them nothing. Now they have to come to Medina, and he has to go make a meeting with Rasulullah ﷺ. So he goes to the house of Rasulullah ﷺ. And by the way, his daughter is married to Rasulullah ﷺ. So he goes into the house, he sees his daughter, he goes inside, he's about to sit down. She says, "Dad, wait a second." And she rolls up the mat. "Now you can sit on the floor." And he says, "Excuse me? Am I too good for this mat? Or is this mat too good for me?" She says, "Well, actually that's the Rasul's mat, it's too good for you." Dang. Now he's already been told, well, what is he going to negotiate now? His own daughter just kind of put him in his place. You know, and this is, you don't treat an ambassador like that. Imagine an ambassador comes to your government, it comes to the Parliament House, and they say, "You're about to sit on a chair?" They move the chair. "Please sit on the floor." That's insult, isn't it? That means this ambassador has no respect with us. You are nothing to us now. You used to think we are nothing, now we think you are nothing. So he has no room to negotiate. He's begging and pleading, "Please don't attack us, please, sorry, we made a mistake. I know the treaty is cancelled, but can you please renew the treaty? Please, 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 please." And the Muslims say what? No. And we go and we make Hajj, and we make it peacefully. We don't take weapons. We just go make Hajj, and we conquer Makkah without a single weapon. We just conquer Makkah. But all of that happened the day the Muslims were frustrated and they couldn't fight and their anger was high, and they said, "Come on, let's get the revenge for Uthman." And they said, "Come on, let's just make Hajj. Come on, we're right there with the enemy. Allah is with us. Let's just go fight them. Why are we accepting these insulting negotiations against the kuffar? We should take the kuffar on. Allah is with us. The angels are with us. Let's do this right now." That is the time where Allah would calm them down, and they would listen to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they would learn to back off. Because just within that year, you won't have to pick up any arms. You're just going to walk right in. And that all of that began with the first domino that fell was Hudaybiyah, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. And Allah sums all of that up with one ayah, "Inna fatahna laka fatham mubina." We have given you, clearly for you we have given a special kind of victory. We have given a special kind of victory.